Can you check and see my settings and see if it's um, muted or if it's visual or visible? Sorry.
Hey Kevin, how are you?
Hey guys, can you hear me? I got these headphones on. I'm not sure that they're working, but can you hear me?
I can hear you. It's a little stuffy though.
Okay, let me take myself off the headset. Hold on here. Is this any better?
Say again? No, not with your
Any
headphones.
better?
I think you're still on your headphones because it sounds the same.
I am. Okay, let me get this right. I got a new toy and I'm playing with it, so it ain't.
Yeah, I actually got Bluetooth headphones for the exact same reason. I always wonder how I sound with them on, but I really like using them because I can hear people better in the headphones.
Yeah. My last production, everybody had headsets on or, earbuds, and it just made it look like they were really official. So I was trying to figure out what else I could do to look like I was serious about this.
I mean, the earbuds might, I don't know, like I've seen people use like their Apple buds and they come in pretty clear. So it really depends on the device. I know I didn't go with Beats. I saw yours with Beats. I went with a no brand and I've still been trying to test it. I need to test it to see how the no brand sounds, but I heard that the Beats don't sound so good over the
Yeah, I don't know that they're probably ready for this kind of format. They don't have a really good external microphone. I've heard.
Right, exactly. They're really
like
focused on the listening experience. Like they're not even good for editing. Like I see people all the time in this, they love giving those promos where you see them in the studio with them. And as someone who's had a few sound classes and has done audio, actually, they're not good because they put filters on there to kind of boost and pick up sound. So you're not actually, what you hear in the phones aren't actually what's the sound sounds like, and that produces problems when you're trying to edit or sound design. So a lot of our professors and all the instructors I've had has instructed us to stay away from commercial listening headphones like Beats. So I was like, seeing all those DJs use Beats, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, they got. I think the noise canceling feature is really the thing that makes it.
Yeah, that's what sells it. Yeah, that's the attractive thing.
Look at my here's my little my setup here. So I actually I'm going to start a podcast production tomorrow. So I've invested in a real system, but I'm not going to try it on you guys. I'm not going to experiment on you guys. So I'm definitely going to try and see what I can do to make sure I'm 1-to-1. Yeah. So waiting for Judy and for Terrence, but yeah, things are rolling around pretty good for me. How about for you, Cameron? How's life day to day?
Things are going good. I'm in LA right now, so it's hot and they're opening up everything. So
yeah. Where in LA are you?
Koreatown.
Koreatown. Okay. Is this is this something that's going to be like permanent, or are you? You moving here, or what? What's the deal?
Oh yeah, I moved like 6 months ago. So yeah.
Okay, this is past tense. Moved. Okay. Yeah. Wow. Okay. And what inspired that move?
Just everything's out here. It made sense at the time because since the pandemic and stuff. So I was like, I might as well come out here
Oh,
and
yeah, I've heard of Shaka
head
Key.
up.
That's we have to talk about that. Yeah, I moved 1990, no 2000. I moved from Oakland to LA. And I put everything in my Jeep and I made it 3/4 of the way here before my Jeep conked out.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was a trip.
Where did you say you were coming from?
From Oakland.
Oh, from Oakland.
I stuffed everything in my Jeep, and you know, the guy.
What freeway did you take?
I was taking the 5.
Yeah, so you're taking the fast route.
Yeah. I mean, I was on. Hey, I was jamming. The next thing I knew, you know, I was on the side of the road in 100-degree weather, and you know, a highway patrolman finally came by, and the next thing I knew, you know, he took me to the gas station. And I called my partner who I was going to stay at his place, helping him on a recording. Yeah, so he was trying to produce an album. I was staying in his recording studio basement. He came and got me. That car stayed there. I think they towed it to a place, but that car stayed there for almost a month before I came and got it. And the rest was history.
Oh.
So, yeah, I mean, so I got stories about moving or getting to LA by hook or by crook. So if I can do it, anybody can do it. So you people who are natives here, you guys got it made. Because everybody that's had to get here by train, plane, or bus, I know we've had some experiences. So, you know.
Oh yeah.
So Betty, how did you get here? Did you drive, fly, or how did you
That's
get here?
so funny. I actually came on a Greyhound bus in 2007. It's so crazy that you say that about your Jeep, because yeah, I came on a Greyhound bus from Texas.
Was it a one-way? Was it a one-way ticket or a two-way?
It was a one-way ticket, and what I did is I looked for someone on Craigslist to room with. I didn't know her; she was a stranger. I don't think I would be that reckless today.
Sometimes,
what's the name of that movie? Single White Female. I think it was another.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. People
you just gotta take a leap sometime, though. You gotta take a leap, and it's hard. It's hard to get established in a city you don't got anybody.
Wait a minute, Marquita. You are an LA native, so you don't have to take a leap. I'm trying to tell you.
But I haven't lived in LA always, so
okay.
I've moved to other cities.
Yeah,
I just come back home occasionally because you can't beat it. I had to leave LA to really find love for LA. I was like kind of always on that thing to when people were like, "Oh, I'm from here, I'm from there." I'm like, "Oh, I wish I was from there." Like I really did not fall in love with my city until after I left and I spent a couple of years away. And then I was like, no, I had access to everything. Like I didn't realize the boon I had being in LA until I lived in a few other cities and why everybody's trying to get there.
Check this out. I mean, in high school, I was a high school teacher at Granada, JFK in Granada Hills. And there was a magnet school program that taught digital media, architect, and I can't remember the other career path, but all the students there had declared that they wanted to be in the media and entertainment business. And the thing that all my speakers kept preaching to them is that they had an inherent advantage because they already lived here. They knew, but they weren't taking advantage of it. Because I'm telling you, it took people like me to tell them how lucky they were to not to have to put life and limb and everything on the line to even get here, without having, you know, any idea what was going to happen next. So I think what the experience that maybe, you know, I'm talking about is it does make you tougher, or it makes you go back home. There's nothing in between.
Oh yeah.
And I wasn't going back home. I don't know where I was going. I don't know where I was going.
After your Jeep broke down, you continued to come to LA?
No, I stayed. I mean, I never left. I mean, I think
you never left.
I've been out of LA like maybe 5 times on a plane, going to different places. I've gone to the Cannes Film Festival. I've gone to New York, but Atlanta. I've never gone back to the Bay. And I've gone to the Bay Area one time, and I flew. And I just don't want to go back through driving through the 5 or the 99, because it's just it was a horrible feeling that I was going to be doing this for the rest of my life, because my mother was still there. And I love the Bay Area, but I realize that I have to love it from a distance. So I still on my team,
Wow.
on my teams from the Bay Area. I still have a very close connection to the culture there, but on my Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn people, I stay connected with them, and they're going to die there. They're going to die in the Bay because the Bay is a great place to be, but not for
Oh.
trying to, yeah, not for trying to get, to get your foot into, not your foot, get your knee deep into Hollywood. You got to be here. You got to be here. So that's really what the thrust of what I want everybody to know is that if you're in it to win it, there's nothing you wouldn't do, illegally. I mean, you wouldn't do anything illegal, but it's nothing you wouldn't do to try and stay, in this position. And there's a lot of people who are so close and don't have a real appreciation of it, and they give up. But the people who've come, by plain vein or trust, they have to sometimes go back home so they can retool, regroup, or whatever you want to call it. So, but hey, I don't know what happened with the other folks, but I have some news updates and things that I think will help us get through this this meeting today. I talked to Amanda from Laugh Out Loud today, and then I talked to someone else from Heartbeat yesterday about not just the event on the 28th, but I will talk about the 28th first. The 28th of April has now been reduced to a 1-hour event from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Pacific time. And what we're really going to be focusing on are kind of more human resources related questions that we're going to have for Jeff. But we're also going to have Amanda on the panel. And we're going to probably have maybe one or two of us on the panel to really have some discussion, not kind of a panel or roundtable like they have done in an academic set, but the idea really is to have a real discussion that will allow some questions to be answered that I think will come from a more personal standpoint about how people can share their struggle to success and not have a broad answer that maybe doesn't really give us a chance to make this some type of organic product that allows people to say, man, okay, I never really thought about that. I've never really heard it in quite that way. So my first thing is I'm going to do is I'm going to share the screen. I was thinking that Terrence was going to give you guys some tips and tactics and techniques on how to get better prepared for this. But if you can, hold on, I'm going to stop my video and get my screen shared. Okay. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put some content up so that you guys can see that I've recorded everything that is going to become part of a themed presentation. And the theme presentation for April 28th, I'm calling it When Worlds Collide. Does anybody have any thoughts why anything would be titled When Worlds Collide? What does that say to you? I'm going to ask everybody on the call. When I say When Worlds Collide, what does that mean? And I'll start with Cameron. What does that mean, when worlds collide?
It doesn't mean like different people in different industries meet up. Kind of.
Okay. Well, and here's a little bit more context. There was a movie that won. It was the first movie of its kind to win an Academy Award in 1954. It won an Academy Award for sci-fi. It was a sci-fi movie, but won an Academy Award for special effects. It's called When the Worlds Collide. And it was a movie that I'm taking the spirit of that title and spirit of that movie to collect all these different spirits and personalities to create a series of conversations about people putting their heads, their voices, and their hearts together that come from different parts of the industry. So I'm going to ask Betty. Betty, when I say when worlds collide, what does that mean to you?
It does mean to me collaboration, and also mixing the older generation with the younger generation. I think that's really important, like that mentorship. So that would be like an aspect that I would focus on, like collaboration and mentorship, gearing towards that direction. Sorry about that. I'm driving, so I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem, no problem. Okay, and Marquita, when I say when worlds collide, what does that mean to you? What is that? What comes off the top of your head when I say when worlds collide?
What I think of is simply different people, different industries, different even experiences coming together. When I think worlds, I think you're in your world doing your thing, I'm in my world doing my thing. We're at different points in life and we come together. So that's it, in the setting, in the context of the Cal State Summit. That's what I would think of when I read that title on, say, a programming list.
Yeah, I think all of you guys have kind of hit on some aspect of what I'm trying to get you guys to participate as part of that blending of harmonies, so that we can have fresh, new perspectives on what we can do to be one step ahead of this concept of when worlds collide, because there's another component of it that I put in there. If we think about it, when the worlds collide, is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? Anybody?
It's a good thing.
Context is everything. I don't think it depending on the context of it, it can be a very bad thing or a very good thing.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else?
I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing because, I mean, like we're talking about collaboration, you're able to learn more from other people in different positions and in the same industry that can ultimately benefit you.
Okay. Well, it's interesting. The log line from When Worlds Collide is really a sci-fi movie, but it's really kind of a end of the world scenario. So they're basically building spacecraft so that only, again, a few lucky people with lottery tickets can get on the spaceship and get out of the way of these two worlds colliding so that they could save their souls. So literally the whole idea for When Worlds Collide is that there's a problem. And I want to try to create a solution for that problem. And I want to be ahead of the solution in every step of the way. So I'm saying that there's a problem, and the problem that I'm saying that I've got to create a solution for, if not me, then who? If not now, then when? Is what we're and why we're doing all the stuff we're doing. And the problem statement is really kind of a series of reports that I've been writing on for almost 5 years now, and it really started with the future of education. And then when you add workforce to education in a problematic state, about what state is it in, I started to read the tea leaves that unless there's some change, there's going to be some real collisions of these worlds of academic and entertainment that are not going to provide some really good results for the masses. So the goal for me is to try to figure out how to take people from the academic world and from the entertainment workforce world and talk about how do we get on one spaceship together before all this stuff collapses and collides, and basically it's going to be a whole bunch of people left out. So that's really what I'm trying to do, is to make sure that When Worlds Collide provides some type of collective thought about how do we build something that's going to allow some people to hop on before it's too late. And that's a pretty strong statement, because a lot of people don't think there's anything wrong. You know, if you believe that, then, you know, hey, I think that I have a lot of work to do to convince people who are willing to understand that there could be a better way for things to happen. But some people, I think, are not acting as if there's any problems. So the thing that I wanted to have Terrence kind of shape for us is that for this event, I want to continue to talk about creating a statement of purpose around a problem. So the problem that I see is maybe not the problems that you guys see. And if you guys don't have any problems, then I'd like to know. But if you guys have any concerns about where things are going from academic to work, I'd like to hear about it. And that's really what I want you guys to not only tell me, I want you to tell me as a testimonial so that we can have that as your reason for why we want to get you matched up with people who think exactly the way you think about coming up with some solution to our problem of creating a better, some people call it a map, some people call it a ladder, a bridge. But I don't know, for a lot of the Black folks, I don't even know if there's a bridge, a ladder, or any stepping stones to the industry. I think people have to realize that there maybe is a concept for a lot of other people. But for us, I don't know that there's ever really been that kind of concept, except for people who are already hooked up or hooked in to the industry. So with that being said, I want to give you guys, I'm gonna show you where we started almost 5 years ago at trying to create a solution for the problem of getting students in academia way ahead of the game. And this was almost 6 years ago. And this was a platform called Social Media Week. It still goes on today, Social Media Week 2021, but this was Social Media Week 2016, when Terrence and we produced a 1 hour live stream, two-way broadcast between people in high school, people at USC, AT&T, the community colleges, and I think we brought in some people from other venues. And the technology is a little rough, but this was a look at a broadcast. And we use Google Hangouts on air. They don't even have Google Hangouts on air anymore. But anyway, just take a look at how this thing was put together for a few minutes.
Starting as a Robertson. Starting as a Robertson.
Okay.
I don't think the audio's playing.
And I'm showing you guys the rough cut of this because, again, obviously we were flying by the seats of our pants. We had a technician who was doing 3 cameras, and we had 3 different people that we're bringing in from 3 different places, and a room full of executives. Jay Tucker from UCLA, this lady here from AT&T. Let me see if I can advance it just a little bit more. There's Terrence. He's sitting at home.
I just about it. And then the last guy, I'm going to give you the 2 million messages.
You should ask it. You give me a safe forum. You can guarantee me a safe space to speak on this. I'm there. You get that first.
Okay, here we go. Here we go.
Yeah. Okay, that's.
So, so the problem is that if you're
This is a little rougher than I thought. My God. Okay, wait a minute. Here we go. Here we go.
Magnet High School in Granada Hills.
So can you tell us a little bit more about what you do for the kids and what you're hoping they'll go on to do after they graduate?
Sure. It's a 3-year filmmaking pathway. So they learn everything from the basics of filmmaking, screenwriting, editing, all the way up to electric work. My goal for them is to be prepared to either enter the workforce, entry-level position, or to continue on to college and go to a film school. Just be prepared.
That's wonderful. So there's a couple people at this table who I'm sure might have some questions for you. Probably starting with Dan Watanabe.
Yes, hi, how are you? I was actually a graduate of film school 30-something years ago. So yes, I've been around for a while. I worked with the company that is now Fremantle Media. You might recognize them from having done American Idol, America's Got Talent, and all of that. I was with them during the era when they did Baywatch and Price is Right and Family Feud. So I'm here to help advocate for you on how to get into the entertainment industry, because one of the big truths is that it takes too long, then it happens too fast. And the other challenge that we're always faced with is that it looks like there's not enough minority outreach. Well, if this fat kid from Tokyo could get to be a vice president of that multinational corporation, all of you have no excuse. You will be able to do it too. So, under my grant is that we have a group of professional experts who can come and guest lecture, provide mentorships, and actually help your instructor with curriculum development and all of that. So we can do panels, we can do workforce development, we can help out. So that's what we're here for. In fact, our technician right now is Robert Reber, who was my student at one point, and now he teaches the teachers because he knows technology better than most of the regular instructors. So if you have any direct career questions, feel free to ask.
All right. We'll also take a moment to talk a little bit about the job landscape. Yvonne is here from AT&T. Do you have any questions or comments for this crew?
A couple comments in terms of how you prepare.
Okay, guys. Hey, I'm going to stop the share because what I wanted you guys to do is to know that we've been doing what we're going to try to attempt on the 28th. We've been doing this for almost 6 years now. Probably over 50 live stream, two-way communication events between venues that we're trying to connect one to many, one guest speaker to many. But the whole concept was to try and provide a way for speakers, people like Jeff Clanagan, to speak from their desk so that they don't have to come and do a general assembly, so that they don't have to move their bodies and their schedules around to give us 15, 30 an hour's worth of presentation about how to get a job at their corporation. And so the idea was to create a lunchtime venue called Brown Bag to allow us to bring these people from wherever they are during their lunchtime into a classroom. So we started Brown Bag TV in 2016. And we've had many corporations who have been able to speak to our classrooms because we didn't have to ask that much of them, just their lunchtime. So that's really what we're attempting to do with Jeff, is to take advantage of the fact that we have to do this virtually. Because if we had to ask him to come to Santa Monica College or to San Francisco State or whatever, good luck. So the same idea that we had 6 years ago is still good, but now, because of the pandemic, it's the only way that we can connect with these people. So I want you guys just to have a little bit of context as to what we can do to still be productive with these people's time and energy, but how can we be more innovative? This was 6 years ago. So if we could do this 6 years ago, and obviously the technology is better, what can we do today to make something is creative, authentic, and innovative as it can possibly be? And really, it's the team of people on this call who I'm counting on helping to make this event more innovative than anything I've done to date. So I'm going to stop for a minute and ask anybody, do they have any response to what I've said and what I've showed you? Unmute your mics if you can.
No response. I actually was waiting for us to get to the panel. I had some ideas I wanted to share, but it sounds like the nature from just last week we were talking about has changed. So I wanted to clarify the style of what's my notes here? Say style of panel. So you were first last week you were talking about doing the round table, and now you want to do something else. It sounds more like a conversation, if I'm hearing correctly.
Well, I wanted to throw it out there. Here's Terrence now, because I was buying time until Terrence could come in to help us set again all of the production values and everything that we're going to be working on. Terrence was going to help set that up, but I wanted to give you some ideas of what we've done in the past, and more importantly, what we can still create as a run of show for Kevin Hart, Jeff Clanagan, and Amanda. They're still up for discussion. But I just want to give you more context of how long and what things we've been kind of doing in the past and what we can do to make this, again, a more authentic idea of what you guys can cook up and agree on. So we can still talk about what was, again, originally thought of, but this is still organic enough for it to become whatever it is that you guys think we can pull off. So I think we got Terrence on the call.
I am here.
Great, Terrence. So what I did is I shared with the guys how long we've been doing this, talking about Social Media Week and how we've been able to, kind of improve on the product of bringing different people into different venues. And, obviously doing two-way communication and making sure that everybody, was kind of baked into the planning and the execution was what I'm hoping to do. But we have, Marquita asked a question that she thought that the conversation or the meeting was going to be about production planning part 2 about the panel. But I wanted to, again, preserve the opportunity to leave people with some idea that there's more than a couple of different ways to do this. But I think
look, this is the time to do that, right? This is, to your point, it's,
Yeah, so I just showed them the Google Hangout that you did. You recorded in 2016 when we were, at USC and JFK and bringing in Jen O'Bray and all of the things that we tried to do for Social Media Week. We have better technology. We have a lot more, capabilities, but we still have to be focused because we now have a 1 hour. We have 1 to 2 o'clock. I've already cleared that with Amanda. She's cleared with Jeff. We're good for 1 to 2 on April 28th. But I've set the table really, again, for us to discuss what do we do to create a run of show.
Do we have a Hopin account that we can look at or use to start to test? Whose Hopin account? I imagine it's Cal State, or you know what I'm saying? We would just want access to that sooner rather than later so that we can also make sure we can use the technology that they're asking us to use.
Good question. Amanda asked that same question. I asked her if she'd ever used Hopin. She hadn't. I asked her, yeah, so I asked her that question today. So she hadn't, and the account belongs to Cal State, it belongs to Dina.
Yep.
And it will be a Hopin Enterprise system, which is their $5,000 deluxe system, which can allow
which obviously means you can control. I mean, I think we want to ask Dina, can we get access to your Hopin account so we can set up some tests again, just like we did for the Google Hangouts. We did test broadcasts. We made sure everybody ahead of time could log in, right? So we set up a broadcast a week before, made sure everybody could come in. That way it matched the run of show. But to me, that's one thing that we need to make sure, we do is lock down the technology sooner rather than later. And then, based on how that works, you can script the run of show based on how we know that works, right? Because somehow you got to operate that in the back end that says, oh, come into this Hopin administratively, and everybody else can only view. So it's got the controls where some people can only view, some people can get in and participate.
Correct. So with the Hopin platform, deluxe version that we'll be using, Dina said that there can be 6 people on the screen who have two-way interactive communication. And the rest of the audience out there, the other 4,900 and 494, they're on one way only. They can only see.
Yeah. They're all participants and you're broadcasting to them. The key is that administrative account, though, needs to be able to mute participants, open up for participants, make sure those people are logged in so they can present and just really control the flow. And also in that enterprise account, if we want to show video, if we want to, show a slide or something, just understanding those administrative controls, right? I know how to use Google Hangout. I know how to use Teams. I know how to use Zoom. I have not administered anything in Hopin, and that's one of the things we need to produce.
Okay, so that's an ask of Dina to see if we can get the account and start playing with it, start rehearsing and testing it out.
Yes, please.
And I used, when I produced the event at UCLA, we did not use Hopin on the back end. We used it on the front end. On the back end, it interfaced with another system that the moderator, Maya, and the 3 panelists used to interface with one another. So I'm not sure, but I think Hopin does have the capability of bringing in another system so that there's the capability of bringing in higher definition video and audio and switching and multicam and all the other things that a lot of the Hopin stuff that I've seen does not use. So so we'll have to figure out, how quickly we can get used to the get keys to the kingdom, so to speak, so that we can test out how we want this thing to look and feel.
Well, and I think that's going to help us to figure out, to Marquita's question, that will determine a lot about how we produce a run of show, because all your limitations are based on how you can produce it, right? The sooner we see a system, the sooner that we understand where you can fly in, how you're going to do it, and then how we make sure we can execute on a run of show. I think that's a great question, Marquita. I think maybe we're a little bit, my thought was that we would try to get to that point based on Kevin and our conversation this morning and yesterday. We're probably one meeting away from that, or, I'd like to have the technology locked in so we can all see it together and then bake the run of show to the technology.
Right. So so my conversation with Amanda was twofold. One is to, nail down the time, 1 to 2. Jeff's confirmed. But also to ask her if she was open to submitting to Jeff, there would be other people on the panels. And she said, well, yeah, but it's up to you guys to determine, what role you want Jeff to play, what questions you want to ask him. And again, obviously, second part of the question was, again, the technology. And they, at least Amanda hadn't used Hopin. So any other questions that we have of Amanda, again, starting with now, what do we really want to thematically call this thing, and what questions would be applicable to the theme are the things that I think she's looking for from us. So to Marquita's point, she wanted to talk about the panel composition, or just,
Yeah, I did get a chance to follow up with Dr. Dina as you requested. And so she did give me some things that I told her that we have regular meetings about the production of the panel. And she said, well, these are just the things she needs right now because they're already putting together programming and they're already formulating what the agendas are going to look like. And what she stated to me was at this time, all she really needs from us is a title and who the panelists are going to be. And then I went a step further when she informed me of that. I said, well, for us to do an appropriate title and to give her to panelists, we have to then to decide on the style of the panel we're going to have. And it was floated the week before, and I think even the week before that. I originally thought it was, I remember it being Kevin's idea to have a round table with a moderator. And we seemed like we were proceeding with that idea. So I did come up with some ideas for panelists to like fill it out since we can have up to 6 people. However, if we want to do something more intimate, which would be like have someone interview and have a conversation with Jeff Claggan, then that's all great and gravy. But I just think we need to decide on something so we can give that information to Dina and they can then build upon that, like experimenting with the technology, learning that technology. I totally agree. We need to know those things, but the kind of stuff that I think she's asking us to determine will not affect any of the other stuff. It's kind of like the foundation to build upon.
Yeah. I mean, look, based on where we sit today, and Kevin, chime in here, right? I think today we could try to add more people and make it more. I think the premise thus far has been this intimate conversation with an industry leader, Jeff Claggan, right? And right. I like that. I think Jeff would probably appreciate that. I mean, if we make him one of a few, and this is our one shot at him, I don't know that we can pull it off the same way if you blend it. Not to say you couldn't talk to a couple people ahead of time, or not to say you couldn't do something else, but I do believe since one, he's committed.
Right.
2, we could get everything together. That intimate chat with him, maybe at least my vote says maybe we go with that as opposed to trying to add a bunch more to it at this stage.
I have no preference. I just think we've been going kind of doing this 2-step back and forth, and I think that we should go and decide which one we're going to pursue, and then other things will fall in line with that. So
let me chime in because as you understand, this is really an opportunity that Dina brought to me and then me to us, which is all of us. I've been trying to figure out a business case for this because she offered it up to me as a marketing opportunity. And it's really my focus to try to create a way for us to bring all of the business opportunities that could possibly mean sponsorship, partnership, internships, apprenticeships, and jobs to all of this. And so what I've been doing is to try and find people who could fill in roles that would provide value to those things that make this a little bit more than just filling out the speaker list of people who could be part of a conversation. Now, I gave her a title.
What was that title?
Who'll be working in the industry next year? And why?
Well, I do understand that, and you have shared this with me and with the others, and I don't think nailing down a title and panelists is going to change the business opportunities that we could develop in that. I mean, that's going to be baked into the content that we're going to produce between now and the panel. So I don't think that would be affected by saying, okay, we're going to decide on a title, we're going to decide on a format, and then we can still bake all the opportunities in. I think with that in mind, I think a roundtable, as far as trying to show what we can do, who we're connected to, would probably serve better as you get a sample of these different captains of industry. But I kind of feel I go with Terrence too, because it's a guy who has a lot of fingers in a lot of different places, so it still kind of counts. You can get all that in Jeff because he has done things in different fields. So it would be logistically more simple for us to do. And then we just would have to make sure our questions and the content that we then produce reflect all the different industries that Jeff has touched. So you can either populate with multiple people to touch on those different industries, or make sure the questions you ask Jeff reflects all his, just all this different experiences he's had. So
I like going deep with Jeff and his perspective, because I think that becomes a little more unique and less diluted. And again, I think we will get the most out of him. And to your point, if we need to weave anything else in, let's think about produced interstitials, produced whatever, right? Things that you could do a lead up. You could have 15 minutes of produced interstitials for other people who want to have something to say, but it's pre-produced, it's you know, shown, but it's not live. And the special part is we're live with Jeff Clanagan for his, you know, who'll be in the industry and why from his perspective. And to your point, produce some good questions that ask about the various levels of industry, right? Production, creatives, distribution. I think there's a lot that you could touch on that he would have a point of view on that could be valuable.
Right. Okay. And then do we still have the 2-hour block of time? I understand we only have Jeff from 1 to 2, but do we still have a 2-hour panel block?
I haven't talked to Dina about that, and I will as soon as we get off the call. But we now have Jeff between 1 and 2.
Okay.
We now only have Terrence between 1 and 2. So things are ever changing and ever evolving for me. And so,
I mean, we can make it nice and sweet and just do the hour and maybe do 45 minutes with Jeff, and then leave 15 minutes to do the pre-production stuff that I think you both, Terrence and Kevin, have said, you know, you want us to do, like do our 30-second intros and things of that nature already pre-packaged. That stuff can run before and after the interview, then have like 45 minutes with Jeff, which would actually only be like 30 minutes when you think about it, because you have to have Q&A.
Right?
And so, and I think showbiz is always about leave people wanting more.
Yeah.
So I think we make the questions really sweet. We don't maybe I think because the time's so tight, I think we could come up with, if we could come with 5 hack questions. And I think I have to go back in my notes. I think we came up with questions when we had Amanda on the call, and I have quite a few notes from that. I just have to find them. But 30 minutes, 5 questions, 5 minutes for each, because we're going for depth, right? So these are not gonna be cutesy, fluffy questions. So then we knock that out of pocket. We get some really solid questions that got you think. Plus, if we keep it short like that, if we keep it to type 5 questions, it's something that people can keep up with as well. So they get greater value. It seems less, but they'll get more out of it because they can keep up with the answers. They can make notes for themselves. And then we have time to do the Q&A. So yeah, I think that would work. And we just make it sweet, short and sweet, instead of going for something longer. And then you never want to have dead air. And so I'm afraid of adding on that second hour and it not being as impactful or as exciting, just because you just have too much running time.
No, I love that. Keep it tight, keep it sweet. You can keep people's attention for that amount of time. And
the internet, short attention spans. So, most definitely.
I mean, Kevin, how do you feel? I mean, or you know, anybody else on the call? Cameron or Betty or Judy?
I like the 1 hour time. Like you said, it can hold people's attention, and I like the setup with the 30 minutes and the Q&A, and then having everybody's introduction and stuff.
Judy, Betty, Kevin, any other?
Well, no, and this is kind of how I wanted things to go, is when you guys would come up with ideas amongst yourself. I mean, I'm just the guy trying to hold this thing together. So I want to not be the guy trying to produce this thing. So I'm only trying to nail down the things that we can work with today. So we got Jeff nailed from 1 to 2. Anybody else that's brought on as a panelist or whatever, time is running short. On another, you know, again, on the business case side, which I'll deal with Gina, we are running out of time, so we may just have to go with a deadline to, just go with the content and the title and just the people that you guys can cook up as folks we can integrate into the conversation, whether it be pre-recorded or live. So
why don't we do this? Why don't we give ourselves till a week from today to see if there's anything more that anybody can bring to the table that changes the opinion or that forces us to add something in. But for now, if we say tentatively, 1 to 2, 15 minutes on the front end for, you guys to really showcase who you are, how you're producing, all that kind of thing. And then Jeff, right, intimate, deep, 5 questions plus Q&A. That's our tentative thing, unless something comes about that forces us to work it, and we do a deadline of next Wednesday, and then that way then it gives us 3 weeks to produce that. But then we're super focused, and we can do a better job of now let's hone that hour to the best doggone hour we can of programming.
Right, and just a few things to think about, you guys. In my conversation with Amanda, she asked that she suggested that Jeff likes to talk about technology and futuristic things. So whether it be for Laugh Out Loud, Heartbeat, or anything else, he is a fan of futuristic technological advances.
Yeah, I made those notes when we spoke with her. I have that in mind as for the question. So I'll probably assist in helping writing the questions. I actually had when I was talking to Dina proposed a moderator for us, and a Sherry Holly. And I looked at some of her videos.
Sherry has a competing brand.
Oh, okay. I wasn't aware.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would say in this case, since we are doing this on our dime and the rest, we should say thank you for the hour, but we're going to control it ourselves.
Okay. She suggested it, so.
Thanks, but we can handle it. We're good. And again, keeping it small, keeping it the rest, and I'm happy to talk to Dina. I think I'm going to play that potential role, be able to introduce you guys, keep it on track, get to Jeff, but it keeps it really small and tight. And that might be, again, the best for us in order to control that, as opposed to give that mantle to someone else.
All right, I'll make a note of that. Okay, so are we going with World Collides, or where are you working next year?
I think, I don't know that we need to make that decision until we have a deadline. So if Terrence, you talk to Dina about a deadline for publication, that's probably what we need to do, because I think we need to make a decision as to how we're going to take the title, the questions, run a show, and then bring it back to Jeff.
Marquita, did she tell you when she needed that title drop dead?
She wanted it as soon as we were ready to do it, because she was telling me, I think they're going to do something either Thursday or Friday about this week, starting to add stuff. So the sooner the better.
You mean tomorrow?
Yes, because I talked with her Monday.
If we need a title by tomorrow, Kevin, let's have a conversation maybe after this. Let's lock it down. Let's get. I think we have our general concept. Make sure the title is. I mean, I like who will be in this industry again. They made it define the industry, whatever, right?
Right.
Who's working in digital media?
Right. So we have our panelists, which is Jeff. I'm open to moderate. I think Betty also has experience with that. So I want to be open about it. I can do that. Me and Betty could work on the questions together, and then we can choose which one of us want to ask Jeff said questions. It would be a great way of making it like student based.
I'd be cool to have you guys ask the questions. I would like to tee it up though.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
I'd like to intro and tee it up, but I'd be happy to have you guys ask
yeah, and I think that's what I'd like to see happen. I'd like to see all of you guys be present and being able to ask questions of Jeff, because the whole reason I'm doing this is for you guys to be able to have an intimate conversation with him so he knows your names, your faces.
Well, yeah, and look, I can do the 15 minutes and introduce all of you, let your work speak for itself, and then have you guys come in and ask the questions, and even rotate through all of you, so you all have an opportunity to represent that. I think that would be the best representation, right? Myself, Kevin, introduce him, set it up, set you guys up, and then have you guys participate as the people asking the questions, coming from people who are trying to be in that pool of people working next year.
I guarantee you there's people who want to be in your seats.
Does that feel all right to you guys?
Yeah, with the opportunity.
No, that's perfect. I'm asking these questions to kind of get a feel for what we're doing, how we want to do it. That's why I've made notes, I've made questions, I've been listening for the last couple of weeks, how we've been in these calls, and I'm like, I'm ready to get moving. You want to do a run a show? I felt like we just did a run a show. Now that I know what one is, right? And so, I'm open. Like, I'm like, okay, we want us to moderate. Cool. We'll get together and make questions as long as that's all right with everybody who's going to be on camera. I even get camera shy, so I don't want anybody freaking out on camera. So as long as they're cool with it, I was like, yeah. And by us all being there together, it takes pressure off of you. If I ain't got it, I know the person next to me on the Zoom got it or hop in. So there's power in numbers. So I'm perfectly cool with all that.
And this is just really for shopkeeping, guys. I'm really good on collaborative, but for the business side of this thing, I really want Terrence to be the point of contact with Dina from this point on, because I did introduce Dina and Marquita, but I don't want any mission creep to happen because I set it up. So I made that introduction, but I definitely want the workflow from this point forward to happen between Terrence and Dina. And that's just really for the purposes of me making sure I execute for everybody.
Well, I'm perfectly fine with that, but I just want to remind you.
You didn't do anything wrong.
I want to remind you that you asked me and Dina to do a runner show, and that's why we were talking.
Yeah, but the thing that I'm establishing.
I didn't realize I didn't know how that's going to fit.
Right. So this thing I'm trying to establish right now for us to move forward, I want to have one single person talking to her, because in all fairness, she's got a lot of stuff on her plate. And I know she's got deadlines and timelines and stuff. And I think we need to know from Terrence how we can execute on all the things that she needs to get done. Because otherwise, she'll be inserting other moderators and other people who aren't part of our crew. And that's what can happen. So again, I made the mistake of not being on top of making sure that whatever her needs are, deadlines, timelines, were communicated to Terrence. That's my bad. Okay, so moving forward, let's just see if we can take you guys' ideas of how to make sure this thing looks like it needs to look to the audience of stakeholders and people who are going to know your names. And at the end of this thing, Jeff will know your names. And that's most important to me. So I think we're almost at the 4:30 time slot. Any other questions, suggestions, or comments?
Okay. Hello, this is Betty Bima. Sorry, I was moving around, but is it possible for someone to kind of send out an email summarizing exactly the action points or the tasks that people need to do, so we're very clear on everyone's roles and what they need to contribute?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I'll send out a recap. And I think for now, right, the main thing is I put folders for all of you guys in the Google Drive. I think the one thing we're looking to do is have you guys, submit, the reels you have and any samples or any of your own information in the meantime. And I'll do a recap of at least what we came up with, Marquita, what we just talked about, right? Which is sort of like the roundup show. I'll do a recap of that, so we have it as a document in that folder. And then we can start to think about assets, and we should keep now a running list of, okay, here's our open questions. and items from there. The number one thing I'm hearing is I need to get with Kevin. We need to lock down a title so that we can get back to Dina, in a timely fashion. Did she need anything else from us other than the title, right? Any graphic?
No, panelist and title. That's
okay,
all
so we'll pull
needs.
Jeff. So it's gonna be you guys, Jeff. I'm gonna introduce Kevin. So say something right, but it's this team right here, and Jeff, and then the title is what I think we'll do. Kevin, if that works, I'll get back with you, but we'll lock that down so we have that information.
And I'm counting 6 people right now, and if I counted them, the 6 people I'd like to have on are Jeff, Marquita, Betty, Cameron, Terrence, and Amanda. That's the 6 people. I don't need to be on. And if Judy decides to show up, then we'll take Amanda out. But Amanda's agreed that she would be on because I thought it would be good, and that's when I was gonna hold this to the last part of the meeting. I've talked to Amanda about being part of the discussion about her journey and all the things she can do to share from a more relatable younger person's perspective what things she did to start her career path. So that would be the 6 people as we sit today.
Okay.
These are the people who will be on the panel.
Well, okay, forget about
Don't treat it as a panel in the run of show.
There's 6 slots of people can be on Hopin. This version of Hopin, there's 6 different video boxes with faces and audio, 2-way, that can be on the conversation at any time. So we have 6.
Got it.
We don't have to use all 6 of them, but if we had 6 people that could add value to the conversation and to the outcome, then I think we should look at these 6 people right now. As presently constituted, if we had to have everything submitted by close of business today, that's what I go with, providing they're all available. I know Amanda's available. I know Jeff, Terrence, Marquita, Betty, and Cameron. I know you guys are available. Anybody else, I can't speak for. So if we're going with that, then that's what we're going for. And for our 6, personalities, we have to make sure that we have a flow that would allow somebody to say this title makes sense, these questions make sense, and then everybody says, hey, let's go, lights, camera, action. Well, we got to get the technology down too, so that we can, make sure that everybody is got their headshots together, not their headshots, but they have headroom, they have bandwidth, they have their audio together. All that stuff is stuff we have to work through, so it looks uniform.
Okay.
Got it.
Got it.
All right. So Terrence, so I'll call you right back. And again, I've recorded this, guy, so I record everything, and I'm gonna start putting all the Zoom recordings into the Google Drive so that everybody can see what we talked about. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. See you guys next week.
Bye, guys.